I'd like to share a couple of what I feel are original insights that I haven't heard anyone else express about the 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 core, the kernel idea or the motif around which Falling Water is built. So if you read about Falling Water or hear anyone lecture about it or watch a documentary about it, take a tour, what they'll tell you, and this is true, I'm not challenging this. I have additional insights I want to share. Okay, but what they'll tell you is Falling Water is structured so that the patios are basically they're repetitions of the rock ledge that form the waterfall. Okay. Um, and actually, if you look at the site, there are layers of ledge, right? They're planes, right? But there are layers, and I'll show you. Here's an example with the water had dried up for a period of time, and you can see we're really looking at three planes of rock bed. There's this plane here, this plane, and this plane. All right. So these are think of these as in the most abstract way as horizontal forms. They're three-dimensional forms, right? And then, of course, if we look at the system of patios, we have one, two, three, right? So it sort of mirrors these three rock ledges. And there's no question that was intentional. That's clearly what he was trying to do. The first insight I wanted to share is that no one talks about. I would think it would be evident to more people, but no, I never hear people talk about it. Is that Frank Lloyd Wright's, if you look at his designs, they're all about balancing vertical and horizontal lines or vertical and horizontal forms. So if you look at Falling Water, he is clearly balancing the horizontal emphasis of these forms with these two vertical forms, which are similar. They're like taking that, the patio and flipping it vertically, or the rock ledge and flipping it vertically, right? And what he's doing is he's cutting these horizontal forms with the vertical forms, basically. So that's the first thing. I never hear people talk about these as being planes, right? That are sort of mirroring or echoing the horizontal planes. They don't talk about the vertical horizontal balance in the planes. So that's the first insight. The second insight I feel is that he's taking he's taking the bands of water that are evident here. Okay, whenever you see photos of falling water from this perspective, uh, the water usually looks like it's broken into bands, and that's just from the natural rock formation. It's just chance, right? But this is commonly recognized. So, for example, here's a drawing someone made of falling water, right? They've broken the water into bands of water. They recognize this too. And if you Google like drawings of falling water, you'll see similar drawings where they break it into bands. So people are consciously recognizing that the water is broken into bands. And you see they kind of make them even, right? Okay. I believe that what Wright was doing was taking the width of the bands of water and making that sort of mirrored or echoed in the height of the patios and the width of these vertical planes. So from a distance, the the width of those bands of water looks like the same height as the walls of the patio. Now, when you walk out on those patios, it is noticeable that those patio walls are very low. I mean, it feels dangerous if you get close to the edge. It really does. And I've often wondered, looking out over them, like, why has anyone died? I have to assume someone's fallen and died, because they're so low. It'd be all you'd have to do is trip and you're gone. So in one sense, I've wondered if he kept the patio walls artificially low because he wanted them to unconsciously mirror or echo the width of the bands of water, which enhances your overall feeling of unity of the design, right? And its integration with nature. Basically, if the height of the patio wall is echoing or mirroring the width of the water band, it's a visual connection between the house and nature. It's a visual integration between structure and nature. Okay. Um, So that was the second big insight. If anyone has any reaction to this, I'd be very interested in hearing. I believe I've called Falling Water many times to ask questions, and I believe I called a number of years ago to ask about this, and there was no. Yeah, I did call about this. I called about the bands of water. I don't know if I called about these vertical planes, but it's so obvious to me. I don't. I'm not. I can't question that at all. It's absolutely what he did. But I'm not positive about the bands of water, but I believe that's what he was doing. So if anyone has any insight into this, if you agree or disagree, I'd be very interested in hearing about it in the comments.